Hello, everyone, and welcome to day two of Ascent Taipei. We are on our ninth round, and I know that maybe yesterday had a lot of Sylvies and a lot of Tristan, so we got something different. Actually, it's not really different because I believe we've run into this player in day one. We've got the Water Nico from round one, made it all the way to top 32, the only Water Nico who made it all the way here. So unfortunately, hopefully during lunch break I can get maybe a graphic made for the distribution. But you can check on Omnidex right now if you want to see what we've got. There are three Wind Umbra Tristans, all Americans. We've got one Nico. We've got a lot of Merlins. A lot of Merlins. And in fact, his opponent here is also on Merlin. And of course, we have Sylvie, but only three: one fire, one wind, and one slime spirit. So definitely curious to see how the top eight ends up shaping out, considering we've got a pretty versatile top 32, but no Arsanas. And of course, we have lots of aggro decks: water aggro decks, wind aggro decks of all different flavors. Ooh, opening up with the Fractal of Rain. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. Oh, he opens two Fractal of Rains. That's This game could get real dicey real fast depending on what's at the top of his deck. Try and get the names on the stream for you real quick. Their name is on Omnidex. Their name is Asu, and his opponent is Nep Violet. So, opening the double Crackle of Rain is very good, but it also depends a lot. If he mills a bunch of non-float, it might be a bit disadvantageous. And of course, the Merlin is the best player in the world and is going to open the God Start, which is Cremation with a float. Anything after that? Most likely not. I see a Reclaim in hand. That's probably the wind float that they decided to play. Shieldmate's good. It stops you from getting hit by a turn to Icebound Slam at least. Mill float. Okay, he's the best player in the world. Ooh, there is an Icebound Slam in there. Can't play it because he has 5 cards plus the 2 fractals. Okay, just choosing to go for Frosthorn instead. Of course, this is Shieldmate, so you can't actually attack here. Just gonna swing. Most likely gonna level up next turn. Big concern here is probably Dungeon Guide to 2. Level up to 1, Dungeon Guide to 2, eat the float. Does have a Lost in Thoughts. Just gonna go up to Lorraine 1 here. Gonna bring out Sword of Seeking. We've all seen this one before. I do see Dungeon Guide. I wonder if he's considering Dungeon Guide to eat this Fracturize. See a Library Witch, see Dungeon Guide. I'm gonna go Hasty. Let's just dump more float. I believe he's probably gonna throw away that Flame Rune. Oh, there's an Honorable Vanguard. Then he can play out the Flame Rune if he'd like. Though that would risk putting the DG in the grave. Okay, just gonna put down another Intercept into a Scry. Actually, yeah, putting down the Dungeon Guide, that's kind of risky. I think actually, does he have 2 float? I think he does have 2 float though. So drawing into another Cremation. Alright, so Icebound Slam is definitely doable now. Level up to 1. Then Icebound Slam. Mill. Not float. And float. Okay. I think it's time to go for that slam. we've got 2 water cards, so the chances of it whiffing, actually I believe this whole deck is 100% water, so it's basically impossible for it to whiff. Okay, just gonna go for a Cell Sharpshooter instead. Probably wants to clear out this board a bit. Draw this card from the library, which are we gonna see the Hasty here? Are we gonna kill it or are we just gonna let it go? One float, 2 floats. I mean, it's a really good start from the Merlin. Do you see an Icebound Slam now? Okay, just gonna swing face. And there's the Icebound Slam. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gonna keep Fracture Ice, it seems. I think maybe Lost in Thoughts. Okay, 1, float, not float, float, not float, float. Okay, so 3 float. We hit for 8. Oh, that's just a ton of damage piling on. No taunt available because he attacked. This is getting dicey already. Next turn we level up the Nico. Merlin gets to eat one of these, but there's so much float in the grave already. Which one do you like? Which is your favorite? Lost in Thoughts is his favorite, apparently. Give himself that level counter. Next turn, when he levels up the DG, he at least, or rather this turn when he levels up the DG, he at least knows that he's gonna get that even level counter draw. One thing to note is that a lot of the Merlins who have made it this far are actually playing Prismatic Edge with Ascensions, which is something we haven't really seen lately. I think most people kind of ended up favoring playing more anti-aggro, but instead, the Merlins here in Taiwan seem to like the Prismatic Edge stuff. But yeah, there are a lot of Merlins. If you look at the top 82, there's maybe 8 of them or something, or more. So even though she didn't show up on stream much yesterday, she's still one of the top dogs of this set. He has the DGs. He's just gonna go for it. Gonna dump a float first. For the Drawn Blade next turn. Wonder if you choose to keep this Reclaim. Do you want to banish it just in case? Going out creative. Choosing to keep Fireball, Fireball. What was that? Fireball, Fireball, Reclaim, Fireball? No pens, it seems. No Crux cards. Double Flame Rune. Wonder if you maybe want to keep the Flame Runes to help fight for board a bit. I think that's 3 Fireballs. It's at least 2 Fireballs. It's Fireball, Fireball, Creative Shock, I see. If we dump a fire card, we can at least do 2 damage to something. There's a Flame Sweep. Does he want that? That might end up coming in handy when there's a bunch of allies on board. Next turn's going to be even level counter, so could potentially be swinging here for enough to clear the whole board. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think you definitely want to go for that Flame Sweep. Another Hasty isn't going to be the end-all be-all here. Okay, gonna dump 2 float here, level up the Nico. Most likely. Thinking about what he wants to materialize, I assume it's going to be Nico. That's right. It's about time. We need to start getting our lash counters. Once Merlin, you just can't outgrind the Merlin, so she gets too many free extra draws. Oop, that's another float, and that's another float. So we're set. Next turn we can go Lash, we could go Vapor Jet Shield. There's lots of options. Thinking about maybe playing a Lost in Thoughts, but I think he doesn't have enough cards to play it. I guess he could pop these Crackles of Rain to throw away some of these. Yeah, seems like he's doing that. I'm gonna do two. So I'm gonna tap these two fractals, get two, draw two, get two lash counters. We draws into more float. So we got our two lash. Hailstorm Guard is going to be very clutch to stop these fireballs. Maybe gonna go for another sharpshooter. Seems like it. Get our third lash counter. I imagine he's just gonna ignore these allies on board and just hit face at this point. Really getting kind of low. Once he finds a ravishing, this game might just be over. Seems like the Merlin player also still doesn't have any Crux cards, no pens, no sights, no ascensions, not even an incarnate. You're gonna buy. I don't think there's an attack card in hand at least. Cerulean Decree is also really strong here. Fracturize, potentially be fracturizing this sort of seeking if he just drawn to the pen. And he's targeting, okay, he's targeting the sort of seeking rather than the power cell. Curious choice, because next turn he could just go Drawn Blade and then send that back, but at least he can't double pen. Definitely considering whether he should kill these allies on board. I think at this point you just go for face. Maybe if you want, you could kill the Hasty, but leaving the Dungeon Guide is probably fine. Okay, choosing to kill the Hasty. I'm just gonna go for the Drawn Blade. Yeah, just gonna bring out the Drawn Blade. I expect that we'll see the Flame Sweep come out here. It's an even level counter turn. Oh my god, Fracturize again. Alright, I mean, we don't want any of these shenanigans. Let's not let these Merlins keep bouncing these swords back, but you essentially just donated 2 extra resources to your opponent, and it's a Creative Shock. Even level counter turn. Flame Rune. So the Flame, even here, we can feel secure in the fact that this Flame Sweep, even without a weapon, is still going to be doing 4 damage. Can still clear the whole field. Ooh, he finally drew an Ascension. I think you just send it here. You're almost assured to get a water card, and I believe the Reclaim is still in his memory, so he can get a lot of value off of this. Oh wait, but he doesn't have a sword, right? Actually, are his Ascensions just dead? I don't think there's any other swords in this deck. Just make sure. Yeah, it seems like he only has Drawn Blade and Sword of Seeking, so that means he can. The only way for him to bring out Prismatic Edge now is to just hard play it. That's actually a pretty big concern right now. Just gonna go for the Flame Sweep. So gonna swing here for 4. No cards in hand, so Asu can't really do anything. Here's the field, does a bunch of damage. The question is, what are we doing from here? It's a lot of fire cards, but nothing. Still no Crux cards aside from that Ascension that is effectively unplayable right now. You gotta be concerned here on the Merlin player side. There's currently 2 floating graves, so if he draws into that Ravishing, okay, gonna bring out the Lash. We can start milling him out. Still hasn't drawn any of these Pendragons, so if the Nico hits mills for 5, there's a chance that we just start dumping these. Oh, he lost one of the Ravishing Finales, unfortunately. And an Icebound Slam. You hate to see it. But yeah, once the Nico starts smacking, if you start milling the Incarnates and the Pendragons, this might be running away with this. At least the allies are gone, so we're not gonna be inflicting about like 8-10 damage every turn. But still, this is a Mage Main Lash that's gonna swing for 5 and then mill 5 plus some. This is yeah. Oh, he has Ravishing Finale. I think he has to float. Can he mill him out now? Swings for 5 off of. He's asking him to count his deck. You know that's scary. If someone's asking you to count their deck or your own deck, he's gonna Ravishing here. Swing with the Mage Bane. That's gonna hit for actually, it's gonna get 2 more Lash counters. So it's gonna swing for 7 plus the 4 off Ravishing, which would put the Merlin up to 22, 23 life counters, which would make him mill 46 cards plus the 7 off Nico. I'm pretty sure he's gonna mill him out if this Ravishing connects. Wait, does he have to float though? Oh, he used one for Mage Main Lash. Maybe he doesn't have another one. Did he mill one off the Fractals of Rain? Play Lost in Thoughts for nothing. Lost in Thoughts for nothing just to dump the float. Gonna pay 2 Fractals. Here comes Ravishing. Are we gonna see the first a Merlin just get absolutely rolled here? So gonna banish 2 float, get 2 more Lash counters. That's gonna come in for 1,000,000. 1325 mill 50 cards. I'm pretty sure it's over. And yeah, that's the game. I feel quite sad that the players don't actually do the milling. They just like, okay, I lost. I would like to see them just actually one by one throw each card into their grave. Yeah, that's the power of Nico when she opens up the nuts. The double Fractal of Rain is probably the best start you can get going first. Icebound Slam, especially when you're playing Serene Spirit like Asu here, you can't actually use Icebound Slam turn 1 going first, especially going second when you're playing Serene. You still can't use it, so definitely like seeing the Fractal of Rains early. Also, this is the Ascent deck box for Ascent Taipei, and it is Nico, so of course the Nico player is going to be using the Nico deck box. Hey, get those power cells off the field. I wonder how you can adapt to it, because Merlin, if she just takes a bunch of damage early on from early Icebound Slams and ally pressure, I'm curious how she's going to be able to find a way to not get milled out. You either just have to kill the Nico really quickly, or just hope that she doesn't open really well again. There's just really not much a Merlin can do. Maybe you can put in some Spurns to get rid of Mage Main Lash, but usually when they bring out Mage Main Lash, that's the turn you die, so Fire just lacking a lot of interactive pieces. Biggest issue with the element, so against decks like this that just have like some insane combo, it's not really much you can do to stop it. Even a Resolute there probably would have still been milled out. Merlin deck box, Nico deck box, these players repping their main with their equipment. Let's talk about the sideboards a bit. I'm curious to see what could come in and out. On the Merlin side, there's not really much. Can put in some Crux cards, can put in maybe Viridian Protective Trinket is probably the only thing that I expect to come in. Maybe Scry the Skies. On Asu's side, though, he has Tithe, which is a pretty good choice against Merlin. And that's kind of it. Snow Fairy, maybe to tap a Incarnate if it gets on field. Song of Frost, knowing that your opponent's playing Flame Sweep, you might decide to put a Song of Frost in the deck. But yeah, when you look at Asu's deck, it really is just all water cards. Does not want to miss on his Icebound Slams. Not putting anything like Reprogram or Savage Smash in there. Just going in all in water. Got the Pile Shuffle. You know, there's a lot of Pile Shuffle haters over here. Right, we're gonna get into game 2 here. He's about to shuffle it up again. We just go for the cut. All right. So now we're gonna get into game 2 of this round. Merlin choosing to go first, it seems. I do see the Viridian Protective Trinket coming in. Definitely don't want to deal with all of this water shenanigans. Okay, he got the pen this time. So maybe do you want to draw cards? It makes it even easier to mill you out. We'll bring out Witch. Does he have the Cremation? He does. So we're just going to go Witch. So when we level up, though, it's going to be an Uncontrolled Banish. Drawing into another Float and another Cremation. Can just go Cremation, Honorable Vanguard. Can go Hasty, dump a Float. Lots of options. It's just usual fire things we're all used to seeing. See one Fractal of Rain and a Vapor Jet, and I think that's 2 Storm of Thorns. Probably gonna choose to bottom a lot of these, yeah. Don't really need those Storm of Thorns against Merlin. So let's just try and look for the Icebound Slam. That's not a bad hand. We have the Fractal of Rain, at least. Not having the Icebound Slam early definitely hurts. I feel like that's a big part of the game. Is if you don't mind Icebound Slam, it's kind of hard actually. And then just gonna go for Frostwarn. Gonna draw a card off of this, which allows him to play the Fractal of Rain. The whole deck. Oh, and he draws into the Icebound Slams. That's very good. I'm just gonna swing. Just put some pressure on. The big downside of playing like these prismatic decks is you have a lot more. You get a lot more. You got a lot of chaff in the deck that makes it harder to fight against aggro. Of course, he is still playing things like Flame Sweep, but we lose out on anti-aggro. Oh my god, he lost the pen. That's pretty bad. Right? So last game, we didn't actually get to see Nep even play any Crux cards, because the only Crux card he drew was a Ascension that he couldn't play, because both of his swords were fracturized. Losing the pen there, that's the big downside of going for the Library Witch instead of going for Honorable or Shield Maid, is that you get an Uncontrolled Banish. Losing your DGs or your pens or other key cards, pretty unfortunate, but chances are we'll find another one at some point. Swing 1 to face. Dump a Float. Draws into an Incarnate. That'll probably be quite helpful. Now I wonder if we'll see a level up here. Yeah, I agree with that. Don't want to risk losing that Icebound Slam. In fact, you're probably gonna play the Icebound Slam this turn. Milling a Vapor Jet, that's not a float. Yeah, he's just sending it. He didn't even think about it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow. Only 2 float here. Still gonna swing for 8. But definitely not the best mills. Lost one of your Fractals, lost one of your Snow Fairies, lost a Frostbind. Just taking a chunk here. It's gonna be pricing the leveling up. It's actually crazy because if you just sit at level 1, you actually even leveling up the Merlin. If there's a second Icebound Slam, he could just die right now. I feel like, Nico seems like the deck where if you want a high roll, you play Nico. Because if you open these Icebound Slams early, these Fractals early, you can just roll people over. I'm probably gonna throw away this Shieldmate. Would you want to keep the Shieldmate as protection for an Icebound Slam, but the Frostwarren's there? Anything you play to try and intercept is just gonna get taken out. But try and throw the Fire card here, do damage to this Frostwarren, and then try and kill it. And just going straight to face. Merlin will at least be able to eat one of these floating cards. No DG either? Wow. Might actually have to hard level here. Wonder if perhaps you should have done Creative Shock, do 2 damage to Frostwarren, Creative Shock, do 2 damage to Frostwarren. Drawing to a bunch of Ascensions. Really scary when your opponent could very well just end up fracturizing it. I'm gonna eat one of the floats. I believe there's only 2 in there. So now there's only 1. Yes, there's only 1 float. So not quite as gassed as the previous game. I'm gonna just cremate this. Oh, that's the draw discard. And Shieldmate for a little bit of protection, though this Frostwarren will probably just make quick work of that. 1, I believe that's 3 float. Kill the Shieldmate and have a bunch of float. Where's Cleansing Reunion for water? Orb of Regret. I think he's just gonna hunt for this. I think he wants to find Icebound Slam. He just wants to send it. Oh. Killing the Shieldmate. And he drew another Icebound Team. He's just dead? Oh my god. That was crazy. Icebound Slam, Icebound Slam. Do 16 damage, 6 damage off this Frostwarren. That's just game. I mean, Nico definitely looks strong. But what I'll say is that, at least especially from conversations I've had with some of the players of the top tables, they just feel like Nico is a bit inconsistent because it is a high roll deck in the end. If you hit your 4 Icebound Slams and your 4 Fractal Rains, you're good. But if you don't see those cards, it's completely different. Though admit, that's why you're playing Serene Spirit. That's why you're playing a bunch of these mill and cycle cards. But yeah, that was an insane end of the game. That was an extremely fast game too. So, well, I mean, that's what am I supposed to say? That's the power of Nico. Definitely, probably the best lineage break that we have at this point. I don't really count Merlin anymore just because she has a level 3. But among the level 2 only lineage breaks, she definitely seems like the strongest one. So, hope you enjoyed seeing a Merlin get milled 50 cards. Well, it actually would have been 57 cards off the top of their deck, and then getting Icebound Slammed twice and just dying. I know everyone loves seeing Merlin suffer. So we'll catch you guys on the next round. I believe we're gonna have a Sylvie next on, and after that we're just gonna pick top tables. So we want to give all of the Win Tristans a break from being on stream over and over again. So try and give you some variety, and then round 3, 4 we'll just pick top tables, and then we go to top 8. So we have a lunch break after the second round, just like last time, but hopefully we'll be more on schedule this time. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in about probably 40 minutes.